a good point about Fletcher Smith appearing to play quite well for the Hurricanes. And it's been something that was quite similar for the Blues in having 2 or 3 options of quite functional fly halves who aren't really going to win you a game on their own. But the team having such unbelievably talented outside backs and quite good outside loose forwards, particularly Ardi Surveyor and then Hoskins Satutu for the Blues, that these fly halves don't really need to do very much, but are still very, very useful for the team. So the way the Blues are going to have to entirely rejig how their backline works with not just Bowden Barrett, but also sometimes Dan Carter. Obviously, Dan Carter will be not very mobile and might in fact be the ultimate version of this, just stand in one place and put people through gaps, fly half. He might be that diluted or sort of condensed down into its peak form. But a backline with Bowden Barrett in it is Bowden Barrett and 6 other guys usually, and I suspect that might happen with the Blues, but it's going to be quite difficult to see how really anybody's going to stop them scoring tries this year.
It's probably quite a good option to have your Dan Carter on the bench, who, if you want, you're up by 14 with 20 minutes to go. He can just settle in there, sit back, pass it about, kick to corners. And it's probably really good balance to have in the team, just to have him to come off the bench just to settle it down if needed and move Bowden to fullback.
The one thing they're not going to get with Barrett as fullback, and I don't know if any of the other players can place kick, but Barrett he's not consistent off the tee particularly, and that's one thing that Carter might be able to bring them, especially if they're maybe tight in a match towards the end and they need to kick a few penalties. Could move Barrett back to 15 and perhaps have Carter in there to kick them. Might be an option for them.
That is true. Actually, Perifetta, the three that were rotating through 10 and fullback between them were Aotearoa Black, Stephen Perifetta, and Harry Plummer. Plummer sort of more the third of that trio. Perifetta is actually a very good kicker and reasonably quick. He's really not very big, and wouldn't, if you were to use the benchmark of is a European club going to throw money at him to prize him away when he inevitably doesn't quite start for the All Blacks, Perifetta is not one of those players. He's good, quite good at kicking. He's not going to be seen by a European club and thought, right, he's going to lead our team. But he's been quite good at fullback with Black at 10. So I wouldn't be surprised if some variation of Perifetta, we see Perifetta and Barrett at 10 and 15, swapping between the two of them, having that 2 playmaker system, because the entirety of the rest of the back line. So if I was naming the team, you'd have Perifetta and Barrett as just starting 10 and 15. And then on your wings, you've got most likely Mark Talaire, who's one of my 5 stars, beaten 50 defenders so far this Super Rugby season. He's quite spindly and tall, not very long, but enormously powerful for what he ends up doing. I think beat about 8 defenders in 1 carry in a game against the Chiefs. It's just an unbelievably good player. 23 or 24 already. Really? He's only played for North Harbour before this season, so must have done something right last summer. So Mark Talaire and then Rico Ioane on the other wing, obviously a superstar, has stepped up this season, having been a bit rubbish last year. I think taking a bit of a right, well, I would like to be the All Blacks' top try scorer, and this is what he's worked out what he needs to do that. Take a bit of responsibility, be a leader for the Blues. He is now doing that. And then TJ Faiani is a fantastic 12. He is the kind of player who will be picked up by a European club after everybody's been watching this. I think he's currently club captain hard lines, good passing, excellent. And then Joe Marchant at 13, played for England, scored 3 or 4 tries already this season. Can do anything you want for a 13, really. So the only issue really with the Blues, as far as I could talk literally all day about why I love every single person on this team sheet for a slightly different reason. The only issue is their scrum and their line out, mainly due to the fact they haven't got any good hookers. They've got 2 that are quite young, 1 that's very old, and none of them are amazing. Obviously, James Parsons has been a fantastic player for the Blues for quite a long time. Not as fantastic as he perhaps used to be, but what can you do? So I think I've mentioned each of my 5 in passing, apart from Hoskins Sotutu, who made his debut coming off the bench against the Crusaders at the end of the 2019 season and didn't do a lot. Started this season at 8, played the first game quite well. In the second game, in one of his first touches of the ball, did a grubber out to the wing, which Mark Tilley got on the end of and scored. And he's been the Blues starting 8 ever since. And it's quite, any of you who've watched the highlights of games where your teams have played against the Blues, Hoskins Sotutu appears in every single highlights package, as an 8 should, but he really does, and he's very, very good. And well, he's unlikely to end up playing for the All Blacks, or anytime soon, given that Hardy Surveyor is the incumbent. But as a member of the 30-man squad, he's got to be quite close to the top of that second tier list. Yeah,
this is very
the Blues.
strong team. That's why they finished second in the regular season.